Now, all of these time lapses you're about to see were taken with a new iOS app for the iPhone, giving us 4K quality clips or using the entire sensor for maximum resolution. Now, taking good time lapses have always been the job for more professional DSLRs and mirrorless cameras with neutral density filters to slow down the shutter and get those quality motion blur effects. Well, not anymore, because there is a new iOS app on the market which takes incredible cinematic 4K time lapses with motion blur effects built in. What? It's called ReeLapse. And here's how it works. Right, so we've got a scene set up here in good old London town, which is perfect for a time lapse because we've got a lot of moving objects. We've got boats bobbing on the water, we've got river taxis coming past, and of course pedestrians on the pavement down here. Also with clouds moving in the background past Tower Bridge. So the first thing I'm going to do is a time lapse with the inbuilt camera app on the iPhone. So that was about a 2 to 3 minute time lapse, and it was a pretty jagged, twitchy piece of footage, not very fluid in motion. Also, the inbuilt time lapse feature on the iPhone only lets you shoot at 1080p, which isn't very good. Also, it doesn't let you choose speed or interval between frames. So let's put the ReeLapse app to the test and see if we can dramatically improve this scene. So what I'm going to do is take the time lapse first and then show you how I did it and what settings I used. So here's the interface, and right away we can see we have many more options than what Apple offers you. From left to right, or bottom to top, we have the manual control over exposure with ISO, which is the sensitivity of the camera sensor. Shutter speed, if you're not familiar with manual exposure, you can use the EV to dial in the exposure value in a more user-friendly automatic way. Focusing can be handled by either tapping on the screen where you want to focus or by using the manual focus meter. If you are going to use this option, I would suggest turning on focus peaking, which is this symbol here, and that will overlay a green display to show you exactly where focusing is going to be. All of these settings can be changed using the handy slider above. And finally, we have control over white balance using the Kelvin slider. For warmer temperatures, head towards the 9,000 Kelvin mark, or cooler temperatures go for about 2,500 Kelvin. So to the right of all those manual settings, we have focus peaking, which we've already seen. Above that is a live histogram, which gives us a graph of our exposure. And above that, we have zebra highlight warning. Red tells you if you're overexposed and blues if you're underexposed. Then we get into the money end of this app on the right-hand side with resolution. 4K gives you 4 times the amount of resolution that the inbuilt time-lapse offers you on the iPhone. Then we have Max, which is bigger than 4K. It's kind of like a full frame format on a mirrorless camera. I would recommend using Max because it gives you more freedom when you edit the videos in post-production, which I'll explain later. So above that, we can toggle on the frames, interval, and effects panel. Frames is the amount of images within the time-lapse, because time-lapses are basically made up of individual JPEGs in this case, and then outputted as a video file. So let's go with 180 frames, and that will give us a capture time of 1 minute 30 seconds, and output will give us a 6-second clip. Interval is the time between frames. So if we were to go up to say 2 seconds, then the capture goes up to 6 minutes. I'm going to leave this at half a second. And then of course, effects is going to be like a shutter speed on a regular camera. We do have a star effects option, which is more suited to nighttime, light trails, etc. We'll look at that more in detail later. So let's leave it on cloud and take that up to half a second. And let's see what this looks like. Now, the big question I'm sure you're all wondering is, how do you choose the correct interval speed and length of the cloud effects for different kinds of scenarios? If you have fast-moving subjects like traffic or people, then go with something like half a second to a second on both interval time and cloud effects. Slower moving scenes like sunrise, sunset, slow moving clouds, or even a clock, then go with something like 2-second interval and effects. The app does let you go all the way up to 60-second intervals, which should be reserved for things like astrophotography, time-lapse, or maybe a fast-growing plant. So I've got a fantastic scene here, 2 spinning wheels. One is going really fast and the other's going really slow. So I'm going to go with a 2-second interval, 1 second on the effects. Here we go. So this is Piccadilly Circus, lots of traffic, lots of people using the crossing, and of course we've got the big screen over the back there. So I'm going to do 3 separate time lapses. The first using the inbuilt camera app, and the second using a ½ second both on interval and on the effects. Then I'm going to do a second so you can see the difference. Here's that inbuilt time lapse with 1080p resolution. Again, very clunky and stuttering piece of footage compared to the smooth clip produced by ReeLapse at high resolution. And this final clip taken at 1 second interval and effects, very cinematic. Now, the company behind this app called REEFLEX allow you to use all 3 lenses on the iPhone 14 or 15 if you have those models. And I've got a scene here where I'm going to use the telephoto lens to create some amazing parallax effects where objects closer to the lens are going to be moving faster than the ones in the background. Also, you'll notice that I'm using an ND filter, which this company also provide along with their G-series lenses. I did a video about this not so long ago, so I'll pop links in the description to that. And what this is going to do is darken down the exposure because it is quite a bright day today. But as I say, you don't actually need ND filters to create those motion blur effects with this app. It's all done digitally and it's done very well. So we're going to do 180 frames. We've got an interval of 2 seconds and the effects is also at 2 seconds. It's going to take 15 minutes to capture with a 6-second output. Here we go. For this time lapse, I'm using the ultra wide lens, again at 2 seconds for both. That's me trying to keep still for about 10 minutes. Using the telephoto lens for sunsets will give you more noticeable movement and speed in the sun and clouds. Just watch that vapor trail from the passing plane. Now, I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm on a flyover over the M25 and I'm doing one of these light trail time lapses. And I'm doing a 14-minute capture at ½ second interval with 4-second effect using the star trails. And looking at it in real time, it actually looks like it's going to be really good. Now that was some impressive time lapse, even if I do say so myself. Now, I thought you might like to see what's happening behind the scenes, up close and personal, in slow motion behind this app, because it is quite phenomenal. We've got this time lapse of Piccadilly Circus. And if you recall, this was ½ second interval with ½ second time lapse effect. And if we start scrubbing along the timeline frame by frame, we can see what is happening in slow motion. I'm going to stop here. Now look at this. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 individual snapshots, which is stacked and merged together to create this one frame, which gives the illusion of motion blur to the naked eye. And if we play it in real time, you can see that this is happening every frame. This is a 30 frames per second timeline. So the processing power behind this app must be absolutely phenomenal. Let's go to this time lapse of me just messing around on a train station platform. And look at this. The motion in my person here is brilliant. Let's just play it in real time. Amazing. And of course, it's doing all of this without ND filters, which you would need in the traditional sense with, professional DSLRs and mirrorless cameras. It's the future. Now, also don't forget that we can shoot in that huge 4K resolution, which is 4 times the size of 1080p. But we can also shoot in max, which gives you about 50% more real estate than 4K. And what this means in the editing process is that you can set keyframes at the start of a clip and the end of the clip and create these dynamic panning and tilting shots like this. Other things to mention on this app, you have a self-timer in 3, 10 and 20-second intervals. We have a spirit level, so you can get a nice horizon line. And of course, we've got the rule of thirds grid, and you can double tap the screen to reset the exposure in auto. It's a very impressive piece of tech, guys. Don't forget to check out Reeflex's other apps. They have a ReHeld, which does handheld long exposures, very handy out in the field. They have Re-Expose for long exposures in RAW. They have their Reeflex Camera App, which is a pro camera app. And of course, those G-Series lenses, which I did a video about not so long ago, phenomenal. There's a 15% discount code for those. I'll pop all of those links in the description. There is a Facebook group for the Reflex photography community, so plenty to be keeping you busy. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more photography content. Give us a thumbs up if you would please, which will help this video along, and I'll see you on the flip side.